If you want to have global influence, you need to solve global challenges. This simple yet profound sentence explains so much about the rise of China. Over the past few weeks, I've been making videos explaining why entire continents like Africa and Latin America are investing with China. Then this past week, major news breaks that Iran and Saudi Arabia have ended a 7-year standoff and agreed to a groundbreaking peace deal. The most amazing part, it was China, not the United States, who brought peace to the Middle East. China is a complex country to understand, and I want to let you know my secret on how I research and stay informed on China. Recently, I found an app called Blinkist, which allows me to understand the most important concepts from over 5,500 nonfiction books in just 15 minutes. There are dozens of books about China on Blinkist, and I've been reading one a day for the past month. I started with this book from Wendy Dobson, entitled Partners and Rivals. It details the complexity of the US-China relationship, but concludes with an important statement. The two superpowers should work together to solve major global and regional issues. A peaceful world depends on US-China cooperation, and as I will show you in today's video, China is giving the United States the exact blueprint on how peace can be achieved, despite complex geopolitics. I want to thank Blinkist for sponsoring today's video and give you a chance to save 25% off Blinkist Premium. The best part about having a premium membership is a new feature called Blinkist Connect, which allows every Blinkist premium plan to be shared by 2 different accounts. It's no additional cost to you, and it's free to the person you invite for as long as you're sharing it with them. Blinkist has changed the way that I consume books, and I know you are going to love this app. Get 25% off Blinkist Premium and enjoy 2 memberships for the price of 1. Start your 7 free-day trial by clicking the link in the description below. So how significant is this peace deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and what does it mean for the world? Let's be honest, the fact that China brokered this deal is significant. It shows China can play an increased role in the future of the Middle East, made possible by more cooperation and trade and less by conflict and weapon sales, which has been the standard approach under US dominance in the region. This tweet from Dr. Anel Shiline, a Middle East researcher for the Quincy Institute, sums up the new shift in Middle Eastern geopolitics. Weapon sales and the increasing likelihood of war with Iran is the outcome of US policies. Reduced tensions and the possibility of peace in places like war-ravaged Yemen is the outcome of Chinese policies. Ever since I was a child growing up in America, there is a phrase that has been constantly echoed by our politicians: peace in the Middle East. But what exactly has America done that has promoted peace in this region? The wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and Pakistan have cost American taxpayers $5.9 trillion since they began in 2001. The results, quite frankly, have been an absolute disaster. Over 488,000 people have died. More than 244 civilians have been killed as a result of the fighting, and an additional 10 million people have been displaced due to the violence. As Washington politicians argue what, if anything, has been achieved after 20 years and nearly $6 trillion spent on forever wars, there is one clear winner: the United States defense industry. Here is an alarming statistic that reveals the truth of the situation. The number of defense contractors on the ground outnumbered US troops most years of the conflicts. By the summer of 2020, the United States had over 22,000 defense contractors in Afghanistan, roughly twice the number of American troops. War is simply a business for the US government, and it's a lucrative one that produces an unparalleled return on investment. Looking back, not even the financial crisis of 2008 could interrupt the spending spree from the United States government on war. Defense stocks like Boeing, Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin outperformed the stock market by 58% during the 20-year Afghanistan war. We can clearly see the goal for US involvement in the region, but what about China? In recent years, China has built closer economic ties with Iran and Saudi Arabia, both of whom are important suppliers of oils for China. Normally, China doesn't get involved in highly complex geopolitical rivalries, but there is something brewing behind the scenes. Beijing realizes it has an incredible opportunity to provide something the US can't: peace in the region, and China is using this opportunity to create a win that also serves China's long-term strategic interests. Take a look at this tweet from geopolitical analyst David Goldman, who shares, "The real winner in the China-Iran-Saudi Arabia deal is China's Belt and Road Initiative, and especially its telecom infrastructure. The Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates have embraced Chinese technology, including 5G, AI-based solar power, and cloud computing. That's key to China's soft power. US containment has failed." By brokering this deal, China has now proven to the Middle East that they are not just an energy consumer, but are genuinely interested in developing a more peaceful and prosperous Middle East. This development, of course, will not sit well with American politicians, who are quickly seeing their reputation in the region shrink while China's reputation rapidly rises. For decades, Saudi Arabia has been a close ally of the United States. We provide the kingdom with military protection, while the Saudis agree to export oil exclusively in US dollars. But the Saudis are starting to change their tone. When President Xi visited Saudi Arabia last December, he told Arab Gulf leaders that China wants to buy oil and gas in Chinese yuan, a move that would help Beijing's goal of establishing its currency internationally and weaken the US dollar's grip on world trade. This peace deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia is significant for the Middle East, but it's even more important for China. China's government invested a considerable amount of time in negotiating this deal. It started last December with President Xi's visit to Saudi Arabia, and then continued this February when the Iranian president also visited Beijing. Saudi Arabia's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, has recognized that a new multipolar world is allowing his kingdom to explore options outside its traditional partner, the United States. The crown prince's vision for Saudi Arabia is to transform the kingdom into a regional hotspot for financial, business, media, and entertainment. As the world's leader in infrastructure projects through its signature Belt and Road Initiative, China will play an integral part in helping Saudi Arabia achieve its goal. But there's even more to the story. Professor Warwick Powell, author of the book China, Trust, and Digital Supply Chains, recently published 4 additional benefits to the new Iran-Saudi peace deal and how it will shape the future of global trade. Number 1, the new deal could become the cornerstone for the birth of the petro-yuan. As I mentioned earlier, President Xi would like Gulf countries to start exporting oil in Chinese yuan. This new peace deal could make that a reality. Number 2, this peace deal is a significant blow to US sanctions on Iran. Iran was a founding member of OPEC, and this new peace deal opens the way for its return to the table. Number 3, Iran just announced the discovery of the world's second largest lithium deposits. Lithium is, of course, the key material needed in electrical batteries, and with China being the world's biggest market for EV vehicles, this peace deal could give China more access to the material. In fact, according to Bloomberg estimates, China could control a third of the world's lithium by 2025. And number 4, this new peace deal clears the path for both Iran and Saudi Arabia's admission to BRICS later this year. The network of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are looking to expand their alliance, and bringing in oil-rich countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran would create a huge potential for the BRICS alliance. BRICS already represents over 40% of the world's population, and the alliance is working on establishing a new currency backed by gold to challenge the US dollar hegemony around the world. The world is quickly changing. Instead of a unipolar world dominated by the United States and the US dollar, countries are shifting to the new multipolar world, where countries now have a choice between who they want to partner with. A few months ago, few people could have imagined that Saudi Arabia and Iran would sign a peace deal, but almost no one could have imagined that China would be the country in the middle serving as the peacemaker. No matter what your feelings are towards China, we must give credit where credit is due, and full respect to China for achieving something the US government has never been able to do. But let's also look ahead, because this peace deal could set a precedent for another complex geopolitical event that has dominated our headlines for years now, and that, of course, is the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The Wall Street Journal earlier this week broke a story that President Xi Jinping will meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky for the first time, and follow it with a visit to Moscow to meet face-to-face with Vladimir Putin. What if China can achieve the same level of success between Russia and Ukraine it has with Saudi Arabia and Iran? In my opinion, there isn't a more suitable country than China to negotiate this deal, and if China can somehow bring an end to the war in Ukraine, it literally would be an instant new world order, and a new world order started by peace. Everyone, thank you for making it to this point in the video, and thank you again to Blinkist for sponsoring today's important message. Make sure you take advantage of their special offer and claim your free 7-day trial by clicking the link in the description below. Thank you all for your continued support, and I look forward to seeing you all in our next video soon.